Hi, everybody. I am Lady Stars on Fire. This is the weekly healing messages for November 6th, not 6th. I don't know why I keep wanting to say 6th. November 9th through the 16th. Now, this is a very powerful time, and the information that I've got for you is not just for this week. I mean, it is for this week because it's this week's healing messages, but I want to go a little bit ahead and put a little bit of information out there. I know that I'm doing it in the middle of the night. I didn't wait for anybody to come into the video or anything, and I'll go back and I'll read all the comments later. But it's important, before I get into really what this week's healing messages is and I get into the astrology, that we jump a little bit ahead as well as a little bit behind. Remember, in the beginning of the year, I said that this was typically it was a 4-year, but it's also a leap year. So we have to remember 2020 adds up to 4. So it's a 4-year, but there's a hidden year within the year because it's a leap year, which actually makes it a 5-year. Now, that means that the whole leap year part of it, for being the 4 in general, is saying it's a 4-year, meaning you have to get on board with what the universe is doing. There are certain things that you cannot change that are out of your control. Universal energy is going to have its way, and it's saying the best thing for you to do is to get on board with what is going on with the universal energy. Now, with that also being, like I said, a 5-year, because of the hidden year of leap year within it, that speaks to you of 5 of adaptability and change, and stay loyal to what is important to you. Now, next year is a 5-year. I'm saying this because we're coming to the end quarter of the year. We're finishing up the year, and we're coming into an eclipse season. So it's important for you to take full inventory, full circle idea of what is going on right now, so that you can truthfully come full circle in your own, spiritual growth in your own life, however it is that you want to understand. You must understand the universe has been putting us on like hold. It's time to get on board with things. I'm giving you this year to try to work with the idea of getting on board. But now we're going into the 5-year, and it's going to still be all about adaptability and change, but with staying loyal to what's important to you. As we come into that eclipse season, you've got to understand your very first eclipse takes place on November 30th. It's at the end of the month. Now, you're coming into a new moon this week in Scorpio. Hear me out. We're coming into a new moon this week on the 15th in Scorpio, at the end of this week. I believe it's on Sunday. And Scorpio energy is all the underworld. It's the underworld. It's also the mystery of life. It's sexuality and fertility. It's getting into those depths of ourself that we don't like to admit, that we're in denial of. You're talking about a new moon, a new beginning coming from Scorpio, coming from your darkness, seeing your way from Batman, from the darkness back into the light. And this is where Spirit interrupts. See, because what Spirit's been giving me is for you to understand, especially for this month, as you approach this eclipse season and you approach the energies of this new moon in Scorpio. Spirit gives me Egyptian gods, Anubis, and Set, or Seth. And they make it very clear when I look at the astrology, because I had to really be like, can I see the astrology? Because they were making, all I could see when I look at the astrology was a hammer, like Thor's hammer. In fact, let me pull that out if I can find it. Now, that's because we're dealing with Haumea and we're dealing with Anubis and Seth. Haumea is the collective consciousness, and it is written all over this time of energy. I'm going to get back to that. I'm going to go back to Anubis and Seth. When you look at Egyptian mythology and you look at, the art images of Anubis and Set or Seth. It can be very hard to tell with Egyptian gods because they take on the same personas, they change, they shift, they become one another. It can be very hard to understand. And this is exactly why Spirit is giving it to me this way. Because make sure that you are seeing the difference between the person you are being and the energy you are working with. Because Anubis and Set or Seth can look the same. But there are very small fragments of information that will make them shift 100% when you view them and when you know them and you're dealing with their energy. Anubis is about death and rebirth. It is the guardian of the dead, also the guardian of the magical secrets. The idea here is you want to be working with Anubis. You want to be working with seeing yourself through your denials, through your darkness, letting that death come to an end so a rebirth is taking place. But it's very easy to get, especially through this time frame, sidetracked or consumed with the idea of Set and not know that you've lost Anubis and now you're working with Set from within side of yourself. Set is the god of chaos, the god of confusion, bad weather, evil, wrongdoing, desert, war, and violence. However, they look very similar. This is what they're saying. Make sure that you are seeing those small details that make it from working in your dark side, working in your inner chaos and your confusion, and bringing it into light so that you're working with your inner Anubis. So you're allowing the dead to be with the dead and the rebirth to be with the birth. There's a reason why I'm telling you this. You need to understand this as you come all the way full circle into this eclipse season, because the first eclipse is a lunar eclipse on November 30th, and it's going to happen in Gemini, and it's going to cross right over that south node. So the south node is telling you everything you need to learn in order to move forward in life. And the eclipses, I tell people all the time when I do work with them, I'm like, you get tests throughout the year from universal energy, from God, however it is you want to see it, from your higher self. You get tests when you have transits that happen during full moons and new moons, and knowing what to, release, surrender, and let go, and know how to fully be working with your spiritual evolution or elevation. And you get tests throughout the year to say, hey, have you been passing the test and moving forward? But eclipses are not tests. Eclipses are the freaking exam. They're worth more credit than the regular test. Okay? And Spirit is saying to me, make sure you're getting your Anubis right and your Seth right from within you. Don't be consumed with the chaos. Don't be consumed with the confusion, with the violence, with the darkness. But make sure that you are working full circle through it, and you need to be with that Anubis energy. Because, for one, that new moon is taking place in Scorpio. Underworld. Let me help you to comprehend this. This new moon is about new beginnings from your inner darkness, bringing new fertility, new growth, new abundance into it all. But Scorpio energy has Anubis energy in it. It also has Set energy in it. And what I'm getting is 4-year, we're going through a 4-year/5-year, about to enter another 5-year, going to eclipse season. Hey, this new moon isn't a regular new moon. This new moon is going, hey, yo, bitches. I didn't ask you to get on board with the way things are going. I'm fucking telling you to get on board with the way things are going. I'm not giving you an option. And for those of you who can't come full circle, I'm going to be honest. For those of you who are having trouble with the coming of full circle, you're going to get hit hard with that eclipse at the end of the month because it will force you into that full circle. The point of all of this is get ahead of the game. See, Spirit, I never did find it. Spirit is also, when I first look at, you're supposed to be around here. When I first look at, the astrology, what I see is a hammer. But that's because the energy is crossing over Haumea. Especially as we go through, look, right through this week. Haumea is the collective consciousness. Now remember, when we're talking about the collective consciousness, we're talking about you identifying with your own identifying with your own collective consciousness, with where you are, and are you truly in that energy versus the collective consciousness. See, the collective consciousness of the outer world may not be on the same thinking, soulful position as you, but you need to be aware because Haumea is a Hawaiian goddess of fertility, childbirth, nurturing. She's also fire and rock. She is the creation god. She speaks to you also of, like I said, that collective consciousness. What I'm getting is the hammer, like Thor's hammer. Like time is flipping up. And you're being shown it, especially during this week. Mercury moves back into Scorpio on the 10th, which is Tuesday. Communication is now direct, but it's going back into that underworld. And it's still in shadow. And it's going towards the sun. And it's going towards Ura, which is sacrifice and commitment of the rules, the walls, the boundaries it takes to create the life you want. Then you have Mars, which is going direct on the 13th. It's been in retrograde all this time. It's now starting to move forward again on the 13th. And you've been getting that punch in the gut from Mars for the last week of going, yo, did you get the memo? Mars is your inner warrior, your inner SWAT team. He's also your inner belly dancer, your sacral chakra, and your solar plexus. Trying to make you see where maybe you're missing points because it's time to come back online and come back into that warrior power energy and start the new cycle. Then you have the new moon, like I said, which is taking place on the 15th. And it's in a void, of course, to Sagittarius. Because technically on the 14th, in the wee hours at 12:07 a.m. is when is when the new moon will be in Scorpio at its highest point of the new moon, which is technically, for most of you, the 14th at 12 o'clock at night. Okay? But technically, it's the 15th. 12:07 a.m. But then through the day of the 15th, the moon moves into Sagittarius, and it will be crossing over that south node, which is in Sagittarius. And that means everything that you've gotten very good at, everything that idealistically you've come to realize that this is the only way that it can be, will be telling you it's wrong. And emotionally, you're going to be feeling that energy. Like I said, this is very Anubis set. And are you seeing where the hammer is in between? The collective consciousness for yourself. You have 11:11, which is an incredibly powerful day. All ones for manifestation. It's also a snapshot of the universe is taking a very good look at what's going on with you. So what are you telling the universe that you're doing? Now, the thing is, Spirit's saying to me, 11:11, yeah, that's the powerful day, but the energies that's coming from that 11:11, as we have that Mercury move back into Scorpio, Mars go direct, that new moon, that 11:11 is just opening up the can of worms for the super higher heightened sensitivity of this week's energy. The moon, okay, first off, all week you have Venus which is in Libra, the 7th house, relationships, and Mars are not getting along. They're in opposition. Feminine, masculine. Opposition. They're not getting along at how to honor yourself, how to stand true in yourself, how to be in yourself and me energy in a good way and still be sensitive and confident. How to be vulnerable yet secure. You also have the moon is going to be crossing through that energy in between that time. As we approach that Scorpio new moon, the moon will be in that Libra energy, making you want to emotionally balance, harmony, and justice. Do not give it away because it's in Libra energy. You have to be the first part of this. The scales, when Libra energy is the scales, and it wants harmony and balance and justice. But what Libra energy always forgets is to apply itself to the justice. Do not forget to apply yourself to the justice that you're creating right now. Then the moon is moving into Scorpio. With that new moon, new moon in Scorpio, but it's going to be going towards the sun and Ura, sacrificing commitment. Mercury as well. So it's bringing all kinds of super sensitive energy up. All week you have a T square with Mercury and Scorpio speaking with Lilith and Uranus and Taurus. Lilith is the soul fire, but she can be ego-driven. Uranus now is in that second decan, which is now saying independence, individuality, uniqueness, freedom, inventive nature, and do I have it, or is someone taking it away from me? And is someone taking my self-worth, self-value, self-esteem because I keep giving it away, or am I claiming it? This is unpredictable power. Unpredictable power. Unpredictable power, ambition, drive this week. But it can be ruthless if it's in that set energy. However, we're talking about Anubis too. So it's a very fine line on going the right direction or falling into the wrong one within yourself. And at the same time, we don't want to give our power away, but we don't want to be controlling and take it away from others. We just want to make sure we're holding our own and we're creating the truth we want. I was saying in a video a little while ago, rub yourself raw with your inner darkness, because your inner darkness has to be viewed because it is a part of you, but it is not all of you. You have to remember that. This T square is Mercury and Scorpio, communication in the underworld. Lilith, Uranus, independence, individuality, uniqueness, freedom, self-worth, self-value, self-esteem, possessive energies, controlling energies. And are they coming from you because you're putting control in your life, or are you afraid and you're trying to control others, or vice versa from the rest of the world? Plus, Jupiter and Pluto are in conjunction. Like I said, this is ambitious, higher self trying to knock on the door. Thor's hammer, collective consciousness. Don't lose your collective consciousness in the world's lower vibrational collective consciousness. You do have a positive this week, which is like a saving grace, a divine option if you know how to use it. It is Neptune is trining Ura and the sun in Scorpio, which is that transformational change by understanding how to come full circle with your inner magic, your inner self-belief, your inner creative energy, because both of them are sextiling Jupiter and Pluto. Abundance, manifestation, the magnet, the higher knowledge. Pluto, death, decay, and destruction. Anubis energy. If you're following that Anubis the energy this week, of the true depths of yourself, and you're allowing your magic to come full circle into a new birth, this is going to be catapulting you so much further before that eclipse. But if not, and you're getting caught up in that set energy, and you're caught up in the magic of that, consuming you, of all of the negatives that are keeping you from really putting your energy where you should be putting it. The negatives are always there to be a distraction. Don't get distracted. I love you guys. Bye.